So a lot of people might think that right now is a good time to buy a car, whether new or used. And I am actually looking for a used car right now. And I can tell you it's not that great of a time yet. And I'm going to tell you why in this video and show you how the car market is just like any other market, like the stock market, the housing market, or even the market for selling stuff on Craigslist. But at this time right now, they are in denial of what's going on in the economy, and so they're trying to hold out as long as they can. And you see with articles like this in a website called Automotive News, the used car market is in a strange moment. It's not really that strange if you think about it, but let's see what they have to say about the used car market. So here are the facts. For the week ending April 12th, wholesale auction volume totaled just 19,000, an 83% drop from the pre-virus weekly average, according to J.D. Power. Retail used vehicle sales during the first 12 days of April for franchise dealers tumbled 63% versus the same period in 2019. So wholesale auctions are basically shut down. They dropped 83%. Nothing's being sold because there are no live auctions. Apparently, they're only by the website from a couple dealers that I actually talked to. And their retail sales are down 63%. So nobody's buying any used cars, whether at the wholesale or at the retail level, right? And so you would expect that the wholesale prices should be down. Well, yeah, they are. They're down, let's see, 10 to 12%, right? So you would think that if the wholesale prices are down, then the retail prices for used cars should be down too, right? About the same at least. Well, here it says, still, used vehicle prices at retail as of mid-April are off just by 1%. So how could that be? How could the dealers who are buying these wholesale cars for 10 to 12% cheaper than they were just a month ago, but yet they're still only selling them 1% cheaper than they were a month ago? Doesn't make any sense, does it? But if you know car dealers, it does make sense, because if you ever try to sell a car to a car dealer, they'll tell you the car is worth nothing, basically. But if you try to buy that same car, they'll tell you the car is worth $1 million, and that's just how they operate. When you try to sell to them, it's garbage. When they try to sell to you, it's priceless. And so that's basically how they operate. But in this case, there's some other things going on as well. For one, they don't want to lose money on the stuff that they already have in inventory that they bought a month earlier for, when the prices were 10, 12% higher. So they're hoping that they can sell these things at close to where they bought them at, or even the regular retail price, hoping that people don't realize that they are not discounting them, even though the cars that people are trying to sell at wholesale are being discounted a lot, 10 to 12% so far. So should you be buying a car from them right now when they're only discounting it 1% on these used cars? No, because they're trying to hold out as long as they can, and they're hoping that there's a turnaround in the economy, or even some kind of bailout or some cash for clunkers like they had in 2009 to help them sell a bunch of cars. And so far it's not happening. And so what's going to happen is, if this goes on longer, they are going to need cash. They're going to need to sell these things, and so they will lower their prices. And that's how it works in any market. If the amount of inventory builds up, but the amount of buyers decreases or there are no buyers, well, then you have to lower your prices until you find buyers. I've sold cars in my past, cars that I bought from private persons, and I sold them myself. And I always know that if I list my car on Craigslist or cars.com and the phone doesn't ring, the price is too high. And I lower the price until the phone starts ringing, because that's when I know that it's priced correctly. But these dealers, both used and new car dealers, they're going to hold out as long as they can. And so you see this article by the Automotive News, they're just saying it's an odd gap, like as if they don't understand how could this be possible, right? And this goes to one of my favorite quotes, is from The Jungle, Upton Sinclair. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. So yeah, this car industry website, of course they're going to say, oh yeah, the prices are down, but we don't understand it, and retail is only selling for 1% off. Yeah, okay. So this is the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index. And you see the last time we had a drop this quick, this far, was in the financial crisis 2009. And this drop is even bigger and even quicker. So how is it possible that the used vehicle index can drop so far so quickly, and yet the dealers are telling us that they're only going to discount their used vehicles by 1%? And another chart here is year over year percent change mid-April 2020 for different market classes. And so look at the mid-size cars, price change down almost 20% year over year, and compact cars 16.5%. This is probably a good amount of this, maybe because rental agencies like Hertz and Avis, they don't have any customers right now. So they have these huge fleets of mid-size and compact cars, and if they're not getting any rentals, then they have to sell them off. So they're selling, I don't know, tens of thousands of cars most likely, and they're flooding the market at a time when nobody's buying any of this stuff. So of course these prices are going to be going down. Now, how long is it going to take for this to trickle through to the dealers to actually reduce their prices? That's anybody's guess, but like the stock market, where you can sell immediately and reprice based on the news very quickly, it takes longer in the car market apparently, because the dealers are resistant to lower their prices on used cars, and especially on new cars, because once you set a lower price for a new car, that goes for all new cars. So that's the last thing they want to do. So here's another article. Okay, this is on MSN. Coronavirus just lopped 10% off the value of your car. Yeah, that's if you're trying to sell it. But if you go to a dealer, they tell you, no, the prices are the same. Everything's great. Everything's rosy. Same prices as before the coronavirus. Really? I don't think so. But I'll tell you what, I've seen some dealers lowering their prices, and I've seen others that lowered their prices, and when I called them up, their prices have increased. They raised the prices. So there's some crazy stuff going on right now in the used car and new car market. And don't be in a hurry to buy this stuff, because this stuff is going to come down, and when it readjusts, it will readjust a lot. And I always recommend to buy off a private seller, because you'll get the best deal off there. There's none of these dealer fees that they have, all these hidden fees and stuff, and you're paying closer to the wholesale price than the retail price when you do that, and you get better cars doing that anyway. So let's look. Ford and GM, their finance arms are facing a huge hit from the plunge in used car prices because of all the cars that are going to come off lease, they're going to be worth less than what they thought they were going to be when they first leased them. And so they're going to have to also sell those cars into the wholesale market for much lower prices. So car prices are going to be coming down. The dealers just haven't realized it yet, or pretend that they haven't realized it yet. And I don't know if people remember, but this is an example of dealers will do anything not to reduce their prices, because like I said, once they do, then everybody's expecting lower prices, and so they want to do it quietly or sneakily. And if you don't remember, during the housing crisis in 2009, what housing builders would do so that they didn't reduce their prices, let's say you build a housing development or a condo building with 200 units or something like that, they don't want to lower their prices even when there's no more buyers. So what they start doing is giving you incentives, like giving you a $10,000 vacation as long as you still pay the $500,000 asking price. Or when they really start getting desperate, like you see here, if you buy a house, you get a car. So don't laugh. A lot of home builders were giving away brand new Mercedes and BMWs and vacations and all kinds of things with their houses, just so that they wouldn't technically sell the house for a lower price. Because once you sell a house for a lower price, it becomes a public record, and people see that and they start to realize that the prices are going down, and they either expect lower prices or figure they're going to wait to get an even better deal. So you see, even in this article, there was FBI probes back in 2008 of unusual incentives for home buyers, because these builders were offering all kinds of things: cars, tuition, credit card payments, and even cash, just so that they could keep their artificially inflated mortgages and the official prices high. So this is going to happen in the housing market as well, I'm sure. But look at what's going on at dealers like new car dealers like Chevy. Okay, they offer things like 120 days of you don't have to make a payment, and 0% for 84 months. So they're doing all kinds of things except lowering their prices. So yeah, we'll give you 0%, we'll stretch the thing to 7 years, and you don't even have to make a payment for the first 4 months. But that doesn't mean they're giving you a discount on the price. That means you still have to pay the regular price, but we'll let you not pay anything until 4 months later. It doesn't mean that you don't pay those 4 months. It just means it gets tacked on the end. And so they're doing all this stuff, I'm sure, in the hopes that there's going to be some kind of government bailout or cash for clunkers deal where they can get government money to help people pay for these cars. The last thing they want to do is lower prices at all. And so like I said, this kind of supply-demand imbalance happens before prices really start to fall. And depending on the market, it may fall quickly, or in the short term, or in the long term, like houses, they take a lot longer to fall. So a good example of how this works is in the stock market. And I don't know if you've ever seen a level 2 or a level 3 NASDAQ screen, but the way it works is, here are all the sellers, all the exchanges and market makers that are selling, say, Intel at an offer of $29.36, and each level how many shares they're selling. So here there's more than 5,000 shares, but here the buyers, there's only one buyer for 600 shares, right? So figure the car market. This is the car dealers selling thousands of cars, and this is the car buyers that are very few and far between. And so the more of these cars that build up at these high prices, if they want to sell these cars, they got to start lowering their prices down to where the buyers are, 29.33, 29.32, 29.31, but they're not doing that yet. And so the same goes with the housing markets as well. Anybody that's ever sold anything, they always think their item is worth top dollar, and you don't actually find out what your item is worth until you actually find somebody willing to pay for it, what you're asking or what their real offer is. So people that are asking for car prices that they're listing Kelley Blue Book prices for their car that they've been selling for 2 months, and try to say, look, the Kelley Blue Book listing, I can't say Kelley Blue Book, the Kelley Blue Book listing says my car is worth $12,000. Yeah, that was maybe before the virus. What is it worth now after the virus, with a flood of cars and no buyers and 15 to 20% of the people in the country unemployed, and consumer confidence really, really low? So it doesn't matter what the prices were supposed to be 2 months ago. That has changed, and your reality has to change, and these car sellers have to change their reality. So if people are afraid for their job, or they don't have a job, or they're thinking, hey, I'm going to hold on to my car longer. I'm not going to go buy that new car. I'm not going to go stretch my dollar when I don't know if I'm going to have a job or what's going to happen with this lockdown or something. So reality changes quick, but people and companies are slow to change because it's in their best interest not to change. They're going to hold out as long as they can. So if you have cash and you're not in a hurry to buy a car, I would recommend hold out and see what happens in a month or two, because people are going to be a lot more inclined to lower their prices. That goes for car dealers, that goes for private sellers as well. So that's my take on the used car market in the US, and why you shouldn't go by whatever these numbers say that were created a few months ago before this whole virus started. Those numbers are out the window, and a car is only worth what somebody is willing to offer you in cash for. So if you see some private sellers and you like their car, make them a real cash offer, but don't go by what all these pricing guides say. Those are old news. Go by what the wholesale prices are now, and they are a lot lower and going more lower. So if you're looking for a car like I am, it might be a good time to buy in maybe a month or so, when people really start to realize that their car isn't worth what these guides are saying. And for you used car and new car dealers, maybe you could hold out for a while, but I know you guys have fixed costs every month and bills to pay, and so if you want to move cars, you better start lowering the prices. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you're looking for a car, and if you think dealers are lowering their prices now and they're starting to get with reality, or they're still unwilling to budge and holding off to pre-virus prices. And as always, like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching.